This isn't like a new thing or like a hot take or anything. Like I, like many of you guys, have been kind of falling out of the whole MCU thing, but this specific instance is like a just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in one last time. Not a big surprise, but I really, really like Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I'm a little late. I've been busy. Zelda's been keeping me really busy, but I saw the movie and I really wanted to talk about it because holy shit. Can I say shit in the beginning of a video? Sorry, Andrew. I left the theater entertained, really over the moon, and just so happy and loving this movie. And ultimately, like, I think it's like the best one, or it's like on par with the first one, straight up. And just so you're warned, I am going to talk about spoilers in this. So, if you go see the movie, I recommend it, blah, blah, blah. But like, if, now is spoiler time. I'm going to spoil the shit out of everything. So, yeah, it was emotional. It was fun. It was entertaining, where like, I think like there were some visual aspects that weren't up to par with the first one, but like, what a satisfying ride. Like, this was, I think, a pretty good way to wrap up the whole Guardians of the Galaxy thing. I do wish they spent a little bit more time on that. A lot of the plot was focused around Rocket, but boy, did that work. My God. I can't believe this movie is like it's not for kids, but like, I was in the movie theater with kids watching this movie. I was looking around the theater going, holy shit, parents, you brought your kid to this? Were you ready for this? From everything, from the violence, the weirdness, the creepiness, the gore, and all of the intense emotional themes here. It was a lot. The whole Rocket thing right from the beginning, with him as like a sad little cute scared raccoon, just gets to you if you are the type of person to get emotional over those things. I'm in touch with my emotions. I'm a grown-ass man, and I have no problem admitting that I cry at things that I enjoy or make me sad in front of a bunch of you guys. So some of you are going to comment and talk shit, but you know what? I'm here. Sorry. Why am I yelling at you? That scene right in the beginning, I looked over at my wife and I was like, this is going to be rough, because it's like, you know where it's going. You see where it's going. But I think it was worth finally telling, because the through line for the other movies, there was like Rocket's whole thing. What's his deal? And this movie spent a lot of time on that. Now, what you don't get with that is like Rocket in his prime, who I just find very entertaining to watch. We only get that here and there in this movie, but you get a lot of flashbacks, and they're all really compelling. And how they set up his friends, it's heartwarming, even if you know where it's going. But to me, that's like the mission statement of this entire movie, and really like a lot of James Gunn and his team's work specifically is the whole like, take something ugly or grotesque or weird or strange and still manage to characterize it and give it feeling and emotion and just like make you care about gross, weird things in ways that not a lot of other people can do. I mean, he's been doing it for a lot of his career now. And I think this is like the pinnacle. I mean, the fact that Rocket's friends are like grotesque scientific abominations, really like nasty shit. Like, it was like Sid Toy Story creations, but with like living things. And they also looked really good CGI wise, but the way the movie frames them, the way they set them up, their friendship, their personalities, all of that, like it doesn't matter how they look, that immediately goes away. You're not grossed down as much anymore because you just feel for them and you care for them. And yes, a lot of this I think is like direct emotional manipulation. Like, it is pandering to my heartstrings, I guess, but it was effective and it worked, and it led to moments of sadness and fear, but also triumph with this movie. You want to see the good guys win. You want to see the bad guy get his ass kicked. I mean, the High Evolutionary here, I thought was a good villain, but a good villain in just like a straightforward ass way where he's just an asshole. He just sucks, and you kind of want to see him go down, get punched in the face. He starts off subtle, which I really like and I really respect and found interesting. And towards the end, he just got kind of yelly and crazy and just shouting like, oh, he's so bad. Look, he's yelling. But here, I think it worked because he was just kind of mad scientist. And I also think the actor is just really, like, I could just watch him all day. He was really, really, really compelling, really interesting. But there's so much good shit here with this movie. And again, to go back to like the James Gunn weird stuff, like the organic planet heist area, like that whole thing was just so weird and gross and good. Like, there's like weird, like, piss water fountains. There's like gooey door switches. The walls are all nasty. The guys wear those gross suits. And Nathan Fillion was great. I love a good Nathan Fillion cameo. I think most people do at this point. And in this movie, damn, he looks good. Can I just say something for a second? I know the whole fan thing, and I've been agreeing with the fan thing for a long time, where he should have been the one to play Nathan Drake, right? We've all seen the fan film. They're like, oh, Nathan Fillion should play Nathan Drake, blah, 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 blah. I was with that, but as time has went on, I'm like, I don't know, guys. He's a little older. He's a little thicker. I don't know if it's going to work. And that's how I felt for a couple years now. But after seeing him in this movie, I was watching the movie and I was going, shit, he could still definitely play Nathan Drake. God damn, look at this guy. Tangent aside, like that whole scene was great. I really loved it. I really liked a lot of Star-Lord here, because it's like we've been through Star-Lord's whole arc mostly. So we just got get to kind of see him deal with the hangups of Gamora, but also just kind of do his thing. I wish he had his helmet and I wish he had his rocket boots, but hey, we still got some really great moments with him. And the fact that he has a Zune, I'm glad that they like carried that over. I really like that. Another tangent. I had a Zune. I had the original Zune when it released. I had the black and blue one. I didn't like the brown one. I was like the weird kid. I was like, everybody has an iPod. I want the Zune. And I hacked the shit out of it. It was a piece of garbage. It bricked all the time. Even before I hacked it, it bricked all the time, but I could put cool movies like The Matrix Reloaded and Transformers on it and watch it on the bus, so I was about it. But I love that bit. I love it continuing here. Like, I like that that's now like an iconic thing. But, it all comes back around too. Like, the Christmas special was actually really good. And I think that's like almost required viewing. It was like a Disney Plus thing. I was like not interested. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. It's small, but it's good. Like, it establishes a little bit of like more like where they're at now. And what is nice is that there's more nowhere here, and how they're all a happy community now, and how Cosmo is there. And I love Cosmo. I like Cosmo in all iterations. Most recently, the Guardians of the Galaxy game. Loved seeing Cosmo get so much attention there. Just like a cool character, design, everything about it. I've always loved it since I was a kid. But can I just say that? Can I use my platform for a second to just say, play the Guardians of the Galaxy game? Some of the combat and like stuff can get a little repetitive, but the story there has just as much heart as any of these movies, while doing its own thing, sort of. I couldn't help but think about it now, even watching this movie. It's almost like the game was so good it ruined things for me. But yeah, go play that game. I made a whole video about it. You can check that out. I'll link that. But yeah, I guess that does lead to Adam Warlock. Great that Adam Warlock was in the movie. It kind of like teetered on the line of like another MCU thing where they're reduced to a bit. I don't think they did him that dirty, but there could have been more. Still, there are some moments. When he shows up in the beginning, that fight scene, really awesome. He felt powerful. It was just an exciting, good action scene. The scenes with him flying around, the scene with him blasting through the suburbs of like the fake Earth, really, really well done. His flying felt awesome and powerful. And I was like, ooh, like, do that in Superman. Show Superman flying like that, James Gunn. Come on. I still can't even picture what a James Gunn Superman movie would be like, by the way. But hey, he's a fan, so that helps. But yeah, Adam Warlock could have been more there. I like how at least at the end he ended up a part of the Guardians. That's cool. But a little bit of wasted potential there. I don't know. Like, at least we got something. I'm still mixed on that. I will say Will Poulter, very cool. Another character who I was watching on screen. And stick with me on this one. I don't know if some of you guys care about this stuff like I do, but I was watching him and I was like, he could play James Bond. I could see it. I don't know if he's like my number one pick, but there's something there. Just picture, like, he can age into it. I know he has like a baby face, but like, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just getting wild. But I also liked how they handled Gamora. Like, they acknowledged how everything went down, and the movie also kind of started with like her already knowing, and this whole situation being how it is. It's not like this like, oh wow, Star-Lord's gonna try and get her back. You see his like fruitless attempts to try to appeal to her, but like, they're good. I thought they were well written. They were very interesting at how they handled that whole very comic book topic in kind of like an interesting and like more realistic people way, especially with how it wrapped up. Like, Peter accepted, like, you are your own person now. You're new Gamora. I have to accept that, blah, blah, blah. And Gamora also realizing like there definitely was something there in some other life, but is what it is. Like, that seemed real and good. There was still a part of me holding out for like maybe like Quill would like offer her a job on the Guardians team at the end and just be friends, just so you have the whole team. But obviously, the band ended up breaking up. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But like, I just like that whole thing. And then like little dumb things throughout the movie, like the fact that like we got a good F-bomb in an MCU movie. I thought it was perfect here how they did it. Good on Chris Pratt for great comedic delivery. I still really prefer Chris Pratt in comedic roles like this. I really don't like him as a serious, gruff action guy. I really wish he would. I like props to people for trying different things. I get it, but I like him doing stuff like this. He makes me laugh. I like that they acknowledged the High Evolutionary RoboCop thing. That made me laugh very loud. I was very happy, and everybody made me laugh here. I like the bits were mostly really good. I can't get enough of Drax. Mantis, every time they fell, her landing, crashing on the floor, kind of like anime style or like a cartoon character. That bit made me laugh because I just like slapstick dumb stuff. But like, Mamma Mia, coming back to Rocket and just how that wrapped up, damn, everything about it, like the whole thing with how his friends got killed. I loved, like, first of all, it's an incredibly emotional scene, but like him crafting the thing to break them out, him picking up a gun for the first time to ice those two dudes, was really cool. That whole scene, the escape, everything was really great. And how it came back around to like him being the one that like fucked up the High Evolutionary's face and made him look I was like, again, like when they pulled his face skin off and they showed his messed up face, I was like, kids are watching this movie. Oh my God. I love it. Screw him up. I don't care. But Rocket ultimately going to save all the animals was great. Getting a little bit of a redo at that, but also realizing and reckoning with who he really truly was. The through line for the other movies was, don't call me a raccoon. I'm not a raccoon. And you always assumed it was just because like, it's Guardians of the Galaxy. He's like some space rat. He's not a raccoon, whatever. But he is a raccoon from North America, and he is Rocket Raccoon. And that worked. That was awesome. And then they're all together and they do a really good, like, stylized hallway fight scene that is wild and actually looked really good. It didn't look like a CGI clusterfuck mess. The action was all pretty good. I wish there was a little bit more of Gamora being like really awesome in it, because she always stands out to me as like the most powerful badass one. But like seeing Drax like wield his knife again, seeing Star-Lord, like that was like Chris Pratt actually like rolling around and diving and doing cool shots. Like all of that looked and was framed really well. It was awesome. Oh, and then the scene with Groot with the guns too. Like when Peter gave him the guns, it was like, you know what to do with these. I was like, what is he doing with his guns? Why is he taking his guns? And then he took them out and they all shot everybody together. Awesome. The movie's brutal. The movie's like pretty violent. Like these guys are just gunning people down, icing people left and right. Again, goes back to this movie like really doing whatever it wanted, especially with, to go back to the whole James Gunn making gross things thing, the fact that like a lot of the main enemies are like these abomination, like hybrid robot creatures. It's like a mix between like the Strogg from Quake and like Biofreaks. Remember that game? Just nasty stuff that like people who play video games see stuff like that, see nasty creatures like that all the time. It's like no big deal. But like seeing that in a Disney movie is awesome. It's so cool. They were nasty ass video game monsters. Some people might like just think that they're like whatever, generic, disconnected from. I don't care. I was just happy to see my type of thing represented here. Just good video game fodder enemies showing up, like with actual thoughtful, nasty, gross, creative designs behind them. Like some of those things, like just looking at, like were absolutely bone chilling in my opinion. But great big action scene at the end. Again, emotions and saving kids and animals. Like it's just so much like good guy brownie points. Like they saved everybody. And the fact that nobody died is pretty wild. I went into this movie like really thinking someone was gonna die. I assumed it was gonna be like Rocket or something like that, but nope, everybody lived. And you know what? I think that's all right. I think like you should have like emotional like things happen in movies to like set the stage. People should die, but here I think like audiences, I think me, once I realized, I'm like, oh no, like I wanted to see them all kind of live happily ever after in some way, And we got that. Came close though, like with Rocket almost dying. Holy shit, Again, what a scene. And little kids in the movie theater being forced to grapple with dying. Just when you see her coming to the light towards him, you're like the Denzel John Q meme. Like, oh my God. But then like talking and he's like, oh, can I go with you guys? And she says, yeah. And like you see him like breathe a sigh of relief. And then on the operating table, he starts dying even more. What? It's crazy. But then, of course, when she puts her hand on his chest and she's like, no, not you. You're like, yes, let's go. And it was good. It was a good final arc for Rocket too, just in the sense of like the previous movies, like where he was jammed up. You know, he doesn't have to just be this aimless pilot, engineer, gunner, jockey guy. Like he can have a purpose. And it just really worked. And again, then when you get to see them all finally kick some ass together with Beastie Boys playing, love to see it. But again, people mostly got the happy ending. Gamora even ended up with her like other family. You know, they ended up with her and with Peter kind of coming to them saying like, look, I got to get away. It felt a little sudden, but also it still kind of made sense for the character. Like he needed to kind of break away. He had been through a lot. And I like him kind of going back to his one family member, the family member that like he interpreted it as a kid, his grandpa like being a dick to him. But like, you know, with a character in the movie saying like, maybe he was just looking out for you, protecting you. Like that's that insight. Like you do interpret things differently as a kid. So for him to go back as an adult and be with his one remaining family member was cool. It was interesting. It was just like not like over the top. It was very like soft and real. I think ultimately them doing another scene at the end where he's eating cereal and he's clearly kind of bored on Earth and it says like Star-Lord will return. Didn't need that. Honestly, it's like they can't help themselves. They just want to keep going. Like, please just let things relax a little bit. But like, nice to see that the rest of the Guardians are just hanging out, doing their thing, essentially kind of like loving their job, I guess. Rocket being the leader. I like that. Again, I like that Adam Warlock is there too. Like, are we ever really going to see them more? Probably. I'd be okay though if I never did and that was it, and you just know that they're out there doing their thing. Also, little side note, like the amount of things in this movie that made me so happy. Also, the most weird random thing is to hear Cosmo, one of the weird side characters from Marvel that I've always really liked, when they're all talking about their favorite music, and she says that the Carpenters have no bad songs. I agree. If you follow me on social media, you know like I'm a weirdo about the Carpenters, so that was like a really wild reference out of left field, and I was so happy. But that aside, yeah, just solid movie. Like I'm good with this kind of being one of the last swan songs of the MCU that I was really into. Like kind of like, yes, the big thing, the Infinity War, that whole saga is over, but we've been getting these little send-offs or extra bits for certain characters. And I think the Guardians one really has worked the best as feeling like that extra send-off, that extra wrap-up. Kind of like how Toy Story 3 really felt like the definitive ending, and then they made Toy Story 4. And that kind of served as a little bit of like an extra capping off point or send-off of Woody. I don't think that like that was like okay, like that was like whatever. Like here, I thought this served as a really good formal send-off for the Guardians, a real wrapping up for them getting their own time beyond just wrapping up with Infinity War. And I think it showed people that like a lot of these movies, a lot of people have written them off as starting to become soulless, churning them out by the numbers. And I agree with a lot of those criticisms in certain aspects. But like, I am glad that this showed that like there is still room for something there. There is still room to excite weirdos like me, comic book fans, the mainstream audiences that just gobble this shit up, but also people who do still want a movie that has decent CGI, at least for most of the movie, but also a good emotional through line and like real, actual, give a shit, impactful moments, like an actual movie. That's just me. I've talked long enough about the movie with a space raccoon and a tree man and a green lady and a blue lady and a weird guy and a couple of weird guys and a Russian dog. Like there's let's wrap this up. I just wanted to put out some words about this because I came out of the movie theater really fired up. So that's where I'm at with Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Let me know what you think in the comments. What was your favorite moment? We can go hog wild because this is spoilers. So let me know your favorite moment, how you feel about certain characters, how much they wasted Sylvester Stallone once again. Why did they even do that? Let's talk anything Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 down in the comments. I want to hear from you guys because this could be a good conversation. I don't have a lot of other people to talk with this about, so hit me up. But thank you for being here, listening to me ramble and yap. If you like what I'm trying to do here, just hang out and talk. Clicking the like button helps me. Big thanks to those of you who have my back on Patreon or YouTube memberships. I love you. Thank you. But I'm Jake Baldino. Subscribe because video games. Pizza's on me.